Today's show has infinite potential to be stupid. Just putting that out there right now. That the potential for stupidity is super high. I mean, it's always high. It's Riter Radio. It's episode 290. I mean, I've done 289 of them. At some point, it's going to get real dumb. Today might be super dumb. Just want to start with that. So just so you know, going in, that could be where we land today. Many reasons for this. One, it's Friday. Get excited on Fridays. Get a little goofy on Fridays. Scott Wilson comes on Fridays. He can get a little goofy. But then I've got a bunch of stuff written down that I want to talk about. But then I also always open up just Google News. I'm going to read you headlines from before we talk about the Sabres 5-0 win that was 1-0 after 2. Before we talk about that, and Montreal beating Tampa, which I think is good, and there are only being 2 games left in the season for the Sabres, which other teams have 3. That part stinks, but this is good. This is good shape right now. Before we get to that, before we talk about either of the 2 movies that I watched last night, before we have Chris Trapasso come on to start thinking NFL draft in about 10, 15 minutes, before Scott comes, I just want to read you these headlines and just pretend you're nuts. You're me. You're just kind of a crazy person, right? There's just like crazy stuff in your head all the time. And then these are the headlines that you read. Every one of them sounds like 15 minutes of material. This might be a 6-hour show. It won't. It won't. You know why? The kids aren't home. When the kids are home, as they've been all week, I would much rather sit here with a headset on and just keep going, just to keep the noise away. But they're gone. Poof, gone. My mom picked them up. I don't know what they're doing. Science museum and a movie or something. Fine. Great. All right. Here are the headlines I'm reading. Ready? And I'll give you a quick reaction. I used to do a thing back when I used to work with Jeremy White on the radio. We used to do a thing called knee-jerk reactions, where he would just say a thing, and I would just say a thing back. And I was never prepared for it, but I always just, whatever comes to my head. It was crazy talk. I have a little bit of crazy talk here. Ready? All right. Melania Trump says she's, quote, never been friends with Epstein, unquote, in rare address. First thought, oh, is that where he found her? That would make sense. That would suddenly make sense. All the imported women, young imported women, old dude into young women, finds European supermodel-looking woman, and then extracts her from island and marries her. Just speculation. It's knee-jerk reaction. This is not factual in any way, but I read that headline, that's the first thing I think of. I'm not even opening the article. Maybe that's what it's about. Maybe that's the speculation. But damn, isn't that the first thing that comes to mind? Oh, now I get it. That makes sense. She's never been friends with Epstein. All right, I wouldn't be friends with the person who sex trafficked me to an island and then I got stuck with a billionaire. I wouldn't be friends with him. I mean, yeah, he was my kidnapper, but he wasn't my friend. Is the first thing that comes to mind. I'm not saying that's a fact. I'm saying that's the first thing that comes to mind. I don't even want to read the story. No, thanks. But, now I'm starting to understand everything about Epstein. What are the other headlines surrounding that? Epstein survivors criticize Melania Trump after surprise statement. Jimmy Kimmel salutes Melania's White House surprise. There can only be one reason for Melania talking Epstein. It's not good. That's the Daily Beast. I am going to click that one. I'm going to click it. I'm going to right-click it. We're not left-clicking and diving in. We're right-clicking and saving. So that at some point in the show, I'll be like, oh, what else is on my screen? And that will be on my screen. There can only be one reason. All right. Also on here, local news. That was top story. Melania says she's never been friends with Epstein. Okay. Local news. Shake Shack announces grand opening date for new location in Buffalo. I'm breaking no news when I tell you that hamburgers can be very delicious if you're unaware, Shake Shack hamburgers are super delicious. Like, to the point, I've only been there maybe 5 times in my life, but when I go there, it's intentional. It's not, I'm hungry, what's around here? We got to stop some, I guess we'll go to that place. That is not what Shake Shack is. Shake Shack is destination. I want the burger. I want the one with the hot peppers on it. Whatever that thing is called. That's the one I want. Just saying Shake Shack out loud makes me want to go there again. I recently saw a new one. There's one on the Boulevard. I saw one on Transit. Maybe that's the one that we're talking about. I hope there's another one. The Transit one is pretty close to me. That's a 5-minute drive away. And I was excited to see it. I was at Tops for something, and I was like, whoa, look over there. Right, let's see if this is that one or if there's another. I hope there's another. I hope there are more. It's officially opening its second location in Western New York, so that's Transit Road. Okay. April 15th. We're 5 days away from there being a Shake Shack 5 minutes from my house. The other one's 8 minutes from my house, so that's not too bad. It's going to open from 10:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. daily, 5205 Transit Road. It's super expensive. The first guest could take home a Shake Shack tote bag. Guests could also expect their favorite items like the classic burgers and fries. Oh, yeah. In January, they confirmed their plans to open a new location. They confirmed it to me when they put up a sign that said Shake Shack. In January, they confirmed plans to open a location on Delaware Avenue in Kenmore. Since then, there's been pushback from Village of Kenmore residents. Morons, you're stupid. Everybody in Kenmore is stupid. You're pushing back on Shake Shack. Oh, no, they're going to bring delicious food to my street. No, you can't. We're too villagey. Shut up, Kenmore, nerds. Since then, there's been a pushback from Village of Kenmore residents as a former Delaware Avenue church could be torn down as part of a development plan. What's better, hamburgers or church? Kenmore. Dipshits. That's stupid, Kenmore. There's a reason they call you Ken morons, apparently. Yeah, tear down churches and replace them all with Shake Shacks. Do that in America. We're a better place. Drop the price, though. In January, Shake Shack confirmed to 7 News plans to open a new location at 2765 Delaware Avenue in Kenmore. Since then, there's been a pushback from morons in Kenmore. Village of Kenmore residents, as a former Delaware Avenue church, could be torn down as part of a development plan by the Rochester-based owners who want to bring the national burger chain to the village. In response, 7 News received this statement from a Shake Shack spokesperson. Shake Shack is just one of the future tenants in a village-approved development and is not responsible for decisions related to demolition or site planning. Those decisions are being led by the developer in coordination with the village. We're committed to being a respectful member of the Kenmore community in the future, should this site get approved. All right, so that's a maybe. That one's a little farther from my house, but I would do it. Oh, there's video. Horrible, horrible. Kenmore residents speak out against church demolition for Shake Shack. Oh my God, I fully support every church in America being destroyed and replaced by a Shake Shack. I think that's an awesome idea. See how I told you today's going to get stupid? I had a feeling. It started with Melania and Epstein and went to burgers. And then it's going to be Chris Trapasso, who I said want to come on at 10:30. It's 10:27, and I'm only at Shake Shack demolishing churches. So we might be a few minutes late on him. We'll see if we get audio out of this. I don't know if it'll play on the thing. And if there's a commercial first, we're not doing that. But I want to hear somebody complaining about replacing church with Shake Shack. Last week was Good Friday. This is way better Friday if we're knocking down churches for burgers. That's awesome. I don't know which part I like better. This looks like just a commercial for Channel 7. They're showing the building. Oh, they're hiring. Real training to be a salesperson at Channel 7. Okay.
Tonight, where
Jeff Russo
is brewing in the village of Kenmore over historic preservation. The former Kenmore Presbyterian Church on Delaware Avenue in the village could be demolished to make way for a Shake Shack. Not everyone is supporting.
Let me just throw this out there. It's a former church. It's a church that's not being used as a church, which is better than a church being used as a church. But right now, it's just a building that's not a church that could be replaced with wonderful hamburgers. But Kenmore doesn't like it. Let's go.
The national chain restaurant moving into their neighborhood. Tonight, 7 News senior reporter Eileen Buckley, who covers the North Towns for us, talked to some residents who would like that church to be preserved.
And not used. Smart.
I hate to see a chain come in. It's not what Kenmore is all about.
Nancy Anastasia has lived in the village of Kenmore her entire life. She tells me she doesn't want the former Kenmore Presbyterian Church here on Delaware Avenue in Kenmore to be demolished. The Rochester-based owners want to tear it down and bring in a national burger chain, Shake Shack.
Yummy, yummy.
Shake Shack has confirmed to 7 News it has plans to open a location at this site, but not everyone is on board.
I hate to see us lose old buildings. I kind of hope we can get it listed on the preservation and then they can't demolish it.
And for folks that
Do
don't
what with
want
it?
a Shake Shack here in
Dumbass.
the village of Kenmore, there's a reason. They like the charm of the way this village looks, the way it's set up, the way other businesses have been set up for decades.
Best outcome would be for Shake Shack to abandon the idea.
David Brown is
Stupid.
another resident fighting this
No
plan.
burgers for you,
He
dummy.
tells me his great-grandfather built some of the first homes in Kenmore, giving him deep family ties to this village.
In 1924, they built this building around the wooden church while they still had services.
Brown is also fighting for historic preservation and created this Facebook page in hopes the church could be named a landmark to stop demolition and keep Shake Shack out.
Horrible. And it's the worst time to open a fast food restaurant.
What does that mean?
I just don't get it. I don't
Go
know
on.
if they could
Go on.
build where the parking lot
Any
is
follow-ups,
and leave the
Eileen
church.
Buckley? Any follow-ups on why this is the worst time to open a fast food restaurant? Because that doesn't make any sense. No. What we need is a former church. We need a former church to stand here instead of serving the most delicious hamburgers on the face of the earth. That might be an exaggeration. They're good, though. The place is great. I will likely end up there today. I might end the show early to go to Shake Shack today. I'll have to go all the way to the boulevard. Certainly can't go to this church. And then the other one's not open for 5 days. Dumb.
For another use.
The developer's plan calls for constructing
I want to
a
go back. I want to hear.
I,
This part is great. There's zero follow-up. Zero follow-up on this is the worst time to open a fast food restaurant. We just accept that from this guy because his great-grandfather built a church around a church in 1920 something that's not being used as a church. How can we possibly knock it down? Nobody ever goes in there.
I just don't get it. I don't know if they could build where the parking lot is and leave the church for another use.
The developer's
I missed it.
church could be named a landmark to stop demolition and keep Shake Shack out.
Horrible. And it's the worst time to open a fast food restaurant. I just don't get it. I don't know if they could
You
build
don't.
where the parking lot is and leave the church for another use.
The developer's plan calls for constructing a 2-story building with retail space and housing. The village had a hearing on the matter last month, but the mayor and village board have not made a final decision yet.
See if we can get the building listed on the preservation list so that it can't be demolished and then move forward from there.
In Kenmore, Eileen Buckley, 7 News.
There wasn't a single thought in there about how it could be used. It's like, I like that building. It's been there since 100 years ago. My grandfather helped build it. It's being used for nothing. I need it to stay. Come on, Eileen Buckley. You're better than that. Kick these Kenmore. Come on. Just come on. Shake Shack's delicious. Moral of the story, Shake Shack is delicious. Also on the list of things on the Google News, every headline was interesting to me. The next one. Buffalo area man ends his fight to reclaim Albert, his 12-foot alligator seized in 2024. Tell me you don't want to hear 15 minutes about that. I got to call Trapasso. But I want to talk about the alligator and the burgers. The next thing, Jennings, chest fever to explore deep musical bond between Dylan and the band at Buffalo show. What's chest fever? Where's the show? That sounds like Asbury Hall to me, but I don't know. Artemis 2 astronauts are set to return to Earth today. Here's what to expect. Africa Bambaataa, often called Godfather of Hip-Hop, is dead. Not going to lie. Thought he was already dead. And then Apollonia very pleased after trademark war settlement with Prince Estate. I want to know about that too. I want to know about all of these things. Daughter of American woman missing in the Bahamas sheds new light on couple's marriage. Interested? The two metal vocalists, James Hetfield, listed as the best of all time. Interested? I'm going to guess Rob Halford is one of them. I'm going to open that one. Then I'm going to call Chris Trapasso. We're going to open that. We're going to find out who James had. This is one of those. It's clickbait. I know it's clickbait. I want to know the answer. Two metal vocalists, and you got to scroll through everything, just looking for names. I predict Ronnie James Dio is one. I hate him. It's not just because he's 4.5 inches tall. I just... Holy diva! Just nothing has ever sounded good coming out of that man's mouth. Dio loved Metallica, sure. Rob Halford, haha. I don't love Rob Halford, but I just had a hunch. I had a feeling Rob Halford of Judas Priest would be on the list of people loved by James Hetfield. All right, so that's part of actually have a... Can't do it. Trapasso says, sure thing. That says, actually have a kid-related thing. Can't do it. Sorry. All right, well, we're not gonna call Chris Trapasso. That means we got to go back into this stuff. I was zipping through it for the purposes of speaking with Chris. We'll talk to Chris next week. How about that? The draft will be even closer next week, won't it? Okay. What did I skip? Apollonia, Artemis, alligator. Buffalo area man ends his fight to reclaim Albert, his 12-foot alligator seized in 2024. Do you ever really end your fight to reclaim your 12-foot alligator? I think no. I think, without even reading the story yet, I think the fight is on pause. He's pausing his effort to reclaim his 12-foot alligator. He can't just be done with it. He had the animal for over 30 years, never had a problem until this occurred. He doesn't feel he was treated correctly by the government. Okay. An upstate New York man. Why would it be written like that? This is a story from WBEN. And it's about somebody in Hamburg, and they're calling it upstate New York, and that's weird. All right. An upstate New York man who had his alligator seized after sharing a home for more than 3 decades has given up his court fight to get back the reptile he affectionately named Albert. Tony Cavallero sued the State Department of Environmental Conservation after officers met him with a warrant in the driveway of his suburban Buffalo home in March of 24. The officers sedated the 12-foot, 750-pound alligator and drove him away in a van. Albert, who lived in an indoor swimming pool, eventually ended up in a sanctuary in Texas. Cavallero sued over the state's denial of a license to keep Albert, but he decided in March to throw in the towel after almost 2 years of costly litigation with no quick end in sight, according to his attorney. Tony's upset, attorney said Thursday. He had the animal for over 30 years, never had a problem until this occurred, so he doesn't feel he was treated correctly by the government. Even if he prevailed, he believed the state would be heavily regulating how he took care of the animal. His license to keep Albert had expired in 2021, according to the department. But even if it had been renewed, he had to let other people pet the alligator and even get in the pool with him. What? Oh, he had let. Let me reread that sentence because that made 0 sense. Here's more. Even if it had been renewed, Cavallero had let other people pet the alligator and even get in the pool with him, providing grounds for the removal under the rules for keeping animals classified as dangerous, the agency said after the seizure. The seized alligator had blindness in both eyes and spinal complications, among other health issues, according to the state. Cavallero has insisted that Albert was, quote, just a big baby, unquote, who had never shown signs of aggression. Well, right. There aren't hints of aggression. Like, oh, Albert was really being a jerk today. You're just hanging out, and then you go from pet alligator to, oh no, alligator. Like, it's quick. It's a quick transition from calm, peaceful alligator to, oh crap, alligator. Just a big baby, no signs of it. He bought the alligator at an Ohio reptile show when it was 2 months old and considered him an emotional support animal. All right, well, all of this is crazy. That's the whole story. Guy used to have an alligator, and then they're like, dude, you can't have an alligator. It's like, what? I don't do anything wrong. Like, are you letting people in the pool with the alligator? He's like, yeah. You letting people pet your alligator? Yeah. All right, you can't have an alligator then. He's, come on. And then it went to Texas. That's the whole story. But like I said, everything in the news is interesting today to me. Chest fever, Artemis. Africa Bambaataa, often called the godfather of hip-hop, dead. He had to be 80-something. And I cannot name a song. I just know that's a name, like any historic hip-hop, whatever, documentary type of stuff that I can't not watch. Oh, it's a New York Times story. Now we can't find out about him. Ah, that sucks. I'm not giving you $1 a week every week for the rest of my life. No. And then it becomes $4 a week. It's $1 a week. Billed as $4 every 4 weeks for your first 6 months, then $30 thereafter. $30 what thereafter? I'm not doing that. I can Google Africa Bambaataa and find a non-paywalled story about it because I am interested to know what I've been missing. I know that I'm supposed to respect him. Planet Rock. Okay, I've heard of that. There we go. NPR is not going to charge me. Dead at 68. And also dead at 67. Two different... NPR and TMZ disagree. You know who I believe? Always? TMZ. BBC says 68 also. Pitchfork says 67. Maybe it's his birthday. Rapper and DJ who helped pioneer hip-hop has died. Sources with direct knowledge tell TMZ he died from complications of cancer at about 3 a.m. today in Pennsylvania. Is this a story from today? Probably. I didn't see the story yesterday. Published April 9th, 12:20 p.m. Today's the 10th, so yesterday. Okay. Beginning in the 70s, he began hosting parties where hip-hop flourished. See, this is what I know. Any, like, hip-hop, historic hip-hop documentary type of stuff, he's featured as, like, oh, yeah, that was the thing. You had to go to his parties. And Planet Rock does sound familiar. I don't know what that song is, but I'm sure I'd recognize it. He released his first single in 1980, titled Zulu Nation Throwdown, a reference to the Universal Zulu Nation, an art collective for socially conscious rappers, graffiti artists, b-boys, and more people involved in hip-hop culture. His 1982 track, Planet Rock, rose up the ranks to reach number 4 on the U.S. R&B chart. In 85, he helped make the anti-apartheid album Sun City with several huge artists, including Joey Ramone, Run DMC, U2, and more. Joey Ramone is the lead there. That's interesting. Huge artists like Joey Ramone and Run DMC and U2. Near the end of his life, he ran into a host of legal issues after multiple men accused him of sexually abusing them in the 80s and 90s. I told you today's show was going to be crazy. It's probably good that Trapasso couldn't do it. He was forced to pay out a settlement in 2025 to a man accusing him of sex trafficking him in the 1990s after a judge issued a default judgment when he didn't show up to court. Bambaataa was 67. The first comment is, boys' backsides are safe again. All right, well, let's not celebrate Africa Bambaataa too much today on episode 290 of Riter Radio. We'll just skip past that one. Moving on. Like I said, could get a little crazy today. What's in the chat? Happy Poets Day. I forget what you mean by Poets Day. I know it has to do with Friday. End of the week. It's something with end of the week. Remind me what Poets is. No churches, yes burgers, says Nick in Depew. Yep. What are these people thinking? Burgers can be charming. Burger chains don't expect 10% of your income. Yep. Some of the Artemis photos are beautiful. It's crazy. These giant orbs just hanging in the nothingness. I'm not trusting a blind alligator to decide what to bite and not bite. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's probably not great. You don't need an alligator in Hamburg. 12-foot blind alligator. Even if he's always been a very nice alligator. Yeah. He's never shown any signs of being an alligator. It's like kind of what the guy says in defense of having the alligator. He's never shown any signs of being a dangerous reptile. Who, this dangerous reptile? Yeah. He's never shown any signs of it. Well, there are a few signs. The one where he weighs 750 pounds, lives in a pool, in your house in Hamburg. The teeth are a sign. The tail is a sign. All right, I'm back at this Melania thing. There can only be one reason for Melania talking Epstein. It's not good. Why on earth would the First Lady voluntarily raise her husband's worst scandal? It seems crazy, but it shows how low he has fallen. All right, I'm interested. I'm not going to get caught up in all of it, but I do want to see if the Daily Beast is thinking the same thing I am, that's where the president found his wife. Because that suddenly seems likely to me. Again, I just found all of this half an hour ago, 45 minutes ago, right before the show. I opened up Google News, and everything was interesting. We've got alligators, we've got Shake Shack, we've got Melania and Epstein. There's a lot. Piss on everything tomorrow, Saturday. Poets, got it. Donald Trump has apparently decided that being heavily linked to a notorious sex trafficker, while bad enough to make him want to start a war to distract from it, is not as bad as being seen as a genocidal maniac. Go on. Oh, here we go. Register below to read this article for free or subscribe to online. All right. Continue with Google. Sure. I'll do that with the Daily Beast. I trust you, Daily Beast. Matt Taibbi used to be there. He's cool. All right. Which of my Google accounts? I'll use that one. I have too many Google accounts. Sign in to the Daily... Yeah, okay. Continue. This is all for you. It's not for me. There's an ad for something I don't need. Where's the story? Where's the GD story? An email has been sent, and I have to open my email. I just want to know if they're speculating what I'm speculating. That's all I want to know. But I'll go through this whole process and see if the email actually showed up, because I'm bumping up against storage again. I'm somehow at 105% of my storage. I'm going to get cut off on the 22nd of the month. Support the Daily Beast. All right. Let's see if this works. Daily Beast, one-time code. All right, here we go. Now, come on, man. I'll drink some water out of my Thomas the Train cup. See that? Isn't that nice? I used it for old coffee this morning. My favorite kind of coffee is old. All right, I've got a code. Okay. Now what? There's not even a place to hit enter. It's just the code is in. Do I just hit the enter button? No, don't have to. Okay. We're in. It appears he decided today to have his wife make an extraordinary statement at the White House to change the subject back to the previous scandal. All right, let me go back. Donald Trump has apparently decided that this is a very biased article. I recognize that. It's a Daily Beast. They're going to go after Trump, but I'm interested in all this. So these opinions are not my own. I'm just reading out loud. Donald Trump has apparently decided that being heavily linked to a notorious sex trafficker, while bad enough to make him want to start a war to distract from it, is not as bad as being seen as a genocidal maniac. So it appears he decided today to have his wife make an extraordinary statement at the White House to change the subject back to the previous scandal. All right, he wants to shift back to Epstein. At least that was one of the conclusions that could be drawn in the wake of First Lady Melania Trump's appearance, at which she said, "The lies linking me with Jeffrey Epstein need to end today. I've never been friends with Epstein. I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice Maxwell. My email reply to Maxwell cannot be categorized as anything more than casual correspondence." The email correspondence to which she was referring began with the salutation, "Dear G!" Included flattering references to a story about J.E. in New York Magazine and to Ghislaine Maxwell's appearance in a photograph. Then, following a question about a recent Maxwell trip to Palm Beach, my screen went away. Mrs. Trump concluded with the suggestion that Maxwell, now serving time for sex trafficking in federal prison, give her a call when she is next in New York City. It was signed, "Love, Melania." "Dear G, how are you? Nice story about J.E. in NY Mag. You look great on the picture. I know you are very busy flying all over the world. How was Palm Beach? I cannot wait to go down. Give me a call when you are back in NY. Have a great time. Love, Melania." That's the email. It's really not anything, but all right. Needless to say, given that the exchange is now a matter of public record, suggesting that the president's wife never had a relationship with Maxwell seems a stretch, as her not having a relationship with Epstein, with moments of her appearance. What? The internet was flooded with images of the First Lady looking very cozy with Epstein and Maxwell, because there is a ton of evidence attesting to the fact that she did, in fact, have a relationship of some sort with both of them. As a result, the First Lady's bizarre intervention raises a couple of questions. One is why, the other is why now. There's speculation that she may have raised the issue in anticipation of the next stages in a legal matter in which she is involved. But beyond that, she could not exactly commandeer the White House and use it as a stage for a personal statement without the approval and support of the president's own staff. A larger question becomes, why would they go along with it? Surely they would know that it would cause a media sensation, which it did. And we also know that it has been a priority of the White House to get the Epstein story out of the news for a long time now. Indeed, it has been asserted that one of the reasons that Attorney General Pam Bondi was fired and the president's former attorney, Todd Blanche, was made her temporary replacement was because the president was frustrated with Bondi's inability to make the story go away. Yet now it's the big news out of the White House today. By choice, unless Melania went rogue, while a delicious possibility seems very unlikely because of the logistics and the way the event unfolded center stage at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Why? Could it be that the war in Iran, which many felt was, like the attack on Venezuela before it, designed to change the subject from Epstein, started to become an even bigger problem for the president? Not only was it a strategic fiasco, which has left Iran with seemingly more global clout and potential new revenue sources, but Trump's Tuesday morning threat to erase Iranian civilization off the map shocked the conscience of the world. I wasn't aware of that. I went to Toronto. Oh, that was Wednesday. It doesn't matter. I didn't know about this. A whole civilization. This is a quote from the President of the United States. A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, now that we have complete and total regime change, where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionarily wonderful can happen. Who knows? We'll find out tonight. One of the most important moments in the long and complex history of the world. 47 years of extortion, corruption, and death will finally end. God bless the great people of Iran. That is crazy talk. I didn't see that. All right. Trump was being seen, thanks to his genocidal threat, as a monster and a madman by the entire world. Even his hastily arranged, patched-together ceasefire could not undo the damage caused by Trump's shocking expression of ghastly intent, and it does not seem likely to hold long enough to restore Trump's desire to be seen as a master of power diplomacy. What is more, Trump couldn't help himself and offered more threats in a post late on Wednesday evening, along with a promise of turning his attention to new conquests. So I was just listening to the Sabres while I was coming back from watching a baseball game in Toronto. I got the Toronto picture to work behind me. See that? It's not exactly framed the way I wanted it to. It's supposed to be like the whole field, but now it's just the outfield. But whatever. It's something. It's a real picture that I took. There's a whole thing. I'm bored with this. I wanted to see the headline said there can only be one reason. And My one reason was that's where he got her. And I wanted to see if it was that, and it doesn't seem to be that. All right. Burger chains, Artemis, not trusting a blind alligator. This is the best content you could come up with, says Derek. Sure. See you next week, Brad. Test postings. What? Test posting S, please, see y'all next week. Thought this guy did sports. Hey, Derek, go away. Don't need you. I'm at my house. You're listening to me talking from my house. You don't have to. Go. Let's see. If you want sports radio, go listen to sports radio. Who goes to McDonald's and then complains they don't have tacos? I would eat a McDonald's taco, to be quite honest. Sounds great. I'd take a taco from anywhere. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the show, man. I kind of hang out here, and then I find things that are interesting to me, and then I talk about them. It's kind of the way it goes. I didn't tell you I'm doing sports. I didn't tell you that at all. I will. I mean, I do. But also, when something interesting pops up, I read about it. Alligators. Nobody complains when you talk about an alligator. I thought it was sports. Why are you talking about alligators in Hamburg? I don't know, because a guy had a friggin' 750-pound blind alligator in his pool, in his house in Hamburg. I'm interested just in houses with pools. We looked at one house ever that had a pool inside of it. And I was tempted by it. I didn't like the rest of the house, but I really liked there being a pool inside the house. And we didn't buy it. And then a couple of years later, my kids are friends with the family that bought the house with the pool. They don't have an alligator. They're just regular people. I'm interested just in that. What else? What other headlines do we have? Oh, the Artemis thing. I'll do a couple more minutes here and then take a break and then have Scott. We'll have Scott next. Artemis astronauts. Artemis 2, sorry. Astronaut. I don't want to offend the original Artemis astronauts. They're tuned in. They think I'm talking, oh, cool, they're talking about me. Like, no, Artemis 2. Nobody cares about you. Artemis 1. Probably wasn't even called Artemis 1. It's probably just called Artemis. I also kind of want to say Artemis, because that seems cooler. Artemis astronauts are set to return to Earth today. Here's what to expect. Flying by the moon, witnessing an eclipse. By the way, I tuned in, and that's all I got was eclipse. Right when they were getting closest to the moon, I was like, all right, we were watching. What was going on? I had 3 different things that were happening. It was probably 2 sporting events. Probably the Sabres and maybe a baseball game and also the moon. I don't remember what day of the week it was. But I had the moon. I got TV on and like switching channels on TV. And then also I had the Artemis thing on my phone watching like the official NASA feed. And I caught like 40 minutes of eclipse. It was just black screen. It looked like I didn't have the screen on. Not helpful. All right. Flying by the moon, witnessing an eclipse, and traveling farther from Earth than any humans have before. The 4 astronauts of NASA's Artemis 2 mission have hit many milestones since launching from Kennedy Space Center nearly 10 days ago. Now, if all goes according to plan Friday, they'll have completed their most important one, making it home. The crew's Orion space capsule is scheduled to enter the atmosphere at 7:53 p.m. just southeast of Hawaii. You imagine traveling all that way and then you still have to get home from Hawaii? Oh. Something came up recently about Hawaii. My wife was like, oh, I want to go there. I'm like, no, you don't. She doesn't like going on a flight to Baltimore. Now she's going to fly to Hawaii? Like, flying to L.A. is insane to her. She's not interested in that. And then it's another, whatever. It's like 14 hours in the air or something from here to Hawaii. Imagine if you're just a regular Buffalo astronaut and you go all the way farther from Earth than anywhere anyone ever has gone. And now it's time to come home. And they drop you in the water near Hawaii. You're like, Jesus, man. Another day in the air. Here we go. Sounds horrible. About 13 minutes later, it should splash down in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of San Diego. Hold on. Oh, it enters the atmosphere. Okay, that's better. San Diego's fine. That's practically local. It's probably because does the Earth rotate now? Is it doing that now? Is it rotating? Probably something to do with that, right? A lot of math involved. That's why I do this instead of work for NASA. Too much thinking involved with NASA. Here you just read stuff and talk about it. The crew's Orion space capsule scheduled to enter the atmosphere at 7:53 southeast of Hawaii. 13 minutes later, splash down in the Pacific Ocean. Okay, that's better. To make it there, the spacecraft will first have to punch through the Earth's atmosphere at about 25,000 miles per hour and experience temperatures of upwards of 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That sounds incredibly uncomfortable. As mission pilot Victor Glover put it, it's like riding a fireball through the atmosphere. The crew has been preparing for the return home for the past few days, which includes packing up equipment and reorienting the spacecraft for an ideal trajectory that will land them safely in the Pacific at 8:07 p.m. I was happy to take a train to Toronto because I don't like driving on the Gardner Expressway. They're flying 25,000 miles an hour in a Fireball. They're tougher than I am, for sure. Smarter, too. On return day, the crew will wake up at 11:35 a.m. How do we know that? And begin reconfiguring the Orion capsule for re-entry. They'll make an additional course correction to fine-tune the return trajectory at 2:53 p.m. This is also precise. I do a show at 10, and it never starts at 10. Sometimes it starts at 9:58. Sometimes it starts at 10:17. And they're like, yeah, we're going to wake up at 11:35. Whose time is that, by the way? Does 11:35 exist? Does time exist in space? We have time zones on Earth. Are they just speaking, what are they speaking? Eastern? Are they speaking Houston? Are they speaking Hawaii? Are they speaking San Diego? This could be a massive problem. All right, before entering the atmosphere, the spacecraft will need to ditch its service module, obviously, which housed thrusters, solar panels, and other space flight hardware for the mission. Just ditch? Just leave it? Okay. Orion will separate from the service module at 7:33 p.m., which will then fall back to Earth, burning up in the atmosphere. Well, that's not really falling back. I mean, I guess it's falling back toward Earth. As the capsule makes its return, it will deploy a series of parachutes that will slow it from about 25,000 miles per hour to just 20 miles per hour upon splashdown. The USS John P. Murtha is stationed near the splashdown zone and will help recover the crew. A team will head out to the floating capsule and install an inflatable raft just below Orion's side hatch. The crew will be examined by a flight surgeon, then helped out of the capsule. From the transport ship, they will hitch a ride back to Johnson Space Center in Houston. It's not really hitching a ride. It's planned. Like this, if you have a ride, that's not hitch. Hitching is, I don't have a ride, somebody help me out. This all sounds very intricately planned, to be quite honest. There's a risk when re-entering from space, or returning from space. Glover said he's been thinking about this portion of the mission since he was selected for it back in 2023. And he's been looking forward to it ever since. We have to get back. There's so much data that you've seen already, but all the good stuff is coming back with us. There's so many more pictures, so many more stories, and gosh, I haven't even begun to process what we've been through. To get back, the capsule must hit the atmosphere at a precise angle. You know how I know this? From the movie Space Camp. I remember this constant talk about the window of entry that they had to use. And as a kid, I was picturing there being an actual, like, rectangular shape thing they had to go through. And I know at age 51, I'm aware that that's not what they meant. But that's still what I think of and still picture. I imagine that Leah Thompson is on this flight. I think it's been programmed into me. Let's not beat around the bush. We have to hit that angle correctly. Otherwise, we're not going to have a successful reentry, says Jeff Radigan, the lead flight director. All eyes will be on the heat shield. This is the piece of hardware beneath the capsule that protects the crew from the extreme temperatures during reentry. NASA tested it out on Artemis 1, the previous uncrewed mission, and found that the heat shield wasn't performing as designed. NASA mission planners and the Artemis 2 team worked on a way to mitigate that risk. Instead of skipping through the atmosphere like Artemis 1, this mission would hit the atmosphere steeper and faster, limiting the time the spacecraft spends in those fiery, energetic moments of reentry. Radigan says, it's 13 minutes of things that have to go right. I have a whole checklist in my head that we're going through, all of the things that have to happen. The Artemis 2 mission is a key flight test for Orion, and thus far, mission managers have been pleased with the results. The spacecraft has taken humans farther from Earth than they've ever been, breaking a record set by Apollo 13 astronauts in 1970. All right, I'm going to stop because I got to take a break and get Scott on. But damn, that's interesting. Oh, there's only like 2 paragraphs left. Should I finish? I'll finish the story. I don't want to. It's enough. There's enough. There was way more detail than I expected. They're coming home. It's complicated. That article sounds like they're not going to make it. I know they're going to make it probably. But didn't you feel much more secure about them getting home than after I read all of that technical stuff from an NPR article about that? Yeah, they're coming home. Probably. Good luck. Good luck to everybody on the mission. I hope that works. I mean, of all of it, just the part where you're in Hawaii, you're just south of Hawaii or whatever it was, and 13 minutes later, you're touching down in San Diego, that's mind-blowing to me. Just thinking of San Diego to Hawaii, how long does it take to fly in a plane from San Diego to Hawaii, or vice versa? How long flight Hawaii to San Diego? In an airplane, that's about 6 hours. So you're going about 6 hours worth of plane travel in 13 minutes while descending, while going from, 25,000 miles an hour down to 20 due to parachutes to land in the water near San Diego. All of this is insane. Space travel's crazy. Space travel be crazy. Moral of the story, space travel be crazy. I don't want a 13-minute song. I'm going to play the 9-minute song that I tried to play earlier. Well, I did play it earlier. But you know who heard it? Me. It was just me, because I forgot to hit go live. BRB.
Let's check in with Riter Radio's senior football correspondent, Scott Wilson.
All right, there we go. A lot of buttons and switches and knobs and levers and whatnot to get through. I just realized I've been on the air for an hour and 16 minutes. I haven't once looked at the sheet that I had in front of me of stuff I wanted to talk about, but that's okay. And now Scott's here, so we'll just do whatever he wants. What's up, Scott Wilson?
What's up, man?
How are you?
What's up?
I don't know. I got caught up in stuff. So every day I open up, I have stuff written down from the day before. Like all day I've just got a sheet out where I write down things to talk about. And I also put stuff in my phone if I'm not near the sheet. And then when I sit down to do the show, I open up ESPN.com and kind of scroll through those headlines. And I open up Google News. And Google News today was so interesting that I couldn't stop talking about the things in Google News and forgot about I don't know that I've mentioned that the Sabres won 5-0 last night. I don't know that I got to that. I don't know. What's
So
up?
I've been swamped at work. I did not get to hear the first hour.
Oh, you didn't miss
I'm
anything.
I'm wondering if you have covered something that I discovered today, and I am greatly, greatly interested in.
I talked about that
So-
a 12-foot alligator not being returned to a Hamburg home. A guy had it living in his pool and said it has never once acted like a predator in 30 years. Is that the thing?
No.
Okay. I talked about a church in Kenmore that people don't want ripped down, even though it's a former church. They're going to replace it with a Shake Shack, which is delicious, and they're stupid. I talked about that. I talked about the people coming back from the moon trip. I talked about Melania Trump speaking out, like just bringing up Epstein out of nowhere to distract from other things. And that might be it. What do you got?
Okay, so no, you didn't get. We'll get there. I will say, if no one's talking about you being involved in Epstein, or at least not recently, and then you suddenly come out and start talking about, hey, just so everyone knows,
Epstein.
now what it looks like on that Epstein, huh? Yeah, you were definitely involved in some Epstein stuff. Wasn't there a whole thing where Epstein got her first? Right before Trump? I think that's a whole thing too.
Well, my first thought was the article I saw was it said Melania is talking about Epstein, and there's only one thing we can assume from this, and it isn't good. And it was like the Daily Beast, so I knew it was going to be obviously like a super anti-Trump,
a little salacious.
Yeah, but and salacious. But my first thought was, oh, that's where he got her, and like suddenly that would make sense, is if Trump got her from the island. Like that's how. Like she's the first lady, and Epstein Island is at the center of that, like the brokering of the marriage. So I wanted to see if that was what the article was about, and it wasn't. But then I just talked about that, and then I made people mad, and they left.
Well, there's a whole thing where apparently Epstein, about a year before she met Trump, had her on the airplane.
Okay.
And the two of them were going at it.
Okay.
On the airplane.
I can see that.
Which, yeah, I can see that. Sure.
Happens.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I got friends like that. I'm not gonna name any names. Didn't involve airplanes.
I didn't, on Monday we didn't talk much football, but I just want to say, to tie it into some other current events here, the Iran situation that we're trying to negotiate out of.
Okay.
Whoever's doing the negotiations
for
the United States needs to stop, be removed, and Kirk Cousins' agent needs to start taking over those negotiations immediately.
That's a good idea.
Because he is by far the best negotiator in the history of anything that's ever been negotiated.
That's pretty good.
Like Kirk Cousins sucks. And this guy is going to end up, after this year, having the most guaranteed money contracts in the history of the sport. I don't know how he's done it.
To mostly not play.
I don't know what has happened. And just average playing. Average. I don't know how he's done it. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a mixture of timing meets opportunity, or whatever you want to explain it away. But this guy, by and large, is wildly average, if not kind of crappy. He doesn't run. He can't move the ball. He, especially at this stage of his career, his passing game is significantly diminished. It's unbelievable that this guy keeps getting not only guaranteed contracts. Like, it's one thing if he's getting a guaranteed contract of $9.5 million. He's getting mega contracts.
Yeah.
And he's the only one.
It keeps happening.
It keeps happening. I don't understand it, but teams keep doing it. And it's one of those things where, do I disagree with it? Yes. You can't even be mad at it. It's just impressive. It's just like, I'm impressed that he's doing this.
Well, let's think about how his career started. Can you think of another person who was drafted after another quarterback was drafted, right? Because he got drafted he was like fourth rounder when the
RG3.
Redskins took RG3. So
not
RG3
only did they
gets drafted.
take RG3, They traded like 3 first-round picks to go up
to
to
go
get
to 2
RG3.
to get RG3. Right. And then they were like, yeah, but I don't know, let's get Cousins too, just in case. And he has parlayed that into a wild series of contracts.
Like $300 million. This guy.
Yeah, I got to bring him up. On Spot Track.
It is unbelievable the amount of money that Kirk Cousins has made playing football. I'm pretty sure that he is past Brady. I'm pretty sure that I'm not sure if he is past or is approaching Rodgers. And like the names he's approaching are like real players, like real quarterbacks.
Well, you just mentioned 2 for sure future Hall of Famers, first ballot.
Right.
Hall of Famers. Yeah, he's at $321,692,254. 320. We'll round up to 322. He's at $322 million. I don't know that I've ever seen him make a play.
Right. When he was in Minnesota, or maybe it was just before Minnesota, like the biggest play, the most memorable play in Minnesota Vikings history is the Minnesota Miracle against the Saints. And
that wasn't him.
No. That wasn't him.
No, that was Keenum, right? It was Keenum to Diggs.
Right. So it's like, what? I don't know. I mean, his most memorable thing is
you like
actually winning a game in Washington and then coming through. You like that?
Yeah.
After everybody in the media was like, this guy average, kind of sucks. Sometimes he doesn't, but for the most part, kind of sucks. And after winning a game, it was like, you like that? You like that? And everyone's like, I mean, yeah, it's good when you win. Cool. But
all right,
he's still kind of stuck.
He's third all time in money. Stafford 1, Brady 2, Cousins 3, Russell Wilson 4, Rodgers 5, Matt Ryan, Dak Prescott, Drew Brees, Fran Tarkin, just kidding, Ben Roethlisberger, Jared Goff, Eli, then Peyton, that's gross, Rivers, Watson, will stop at 15, Josh Allen just ahead of Patrick Mahomes. Ooh,
well, Eli
first non-quarterback on the list is at 17. Any guess?
Okay. First non-quarterback.
17th overall, right
Mike
behind
Evans.
Trent Williams. $218 million. I'm all right with that. Then Derek Carr, then Von Miller. Then Ryan Tannehill, then Alex Smith. Then a guy we know. Guess who's next? 22.
Jim Kubiak.
No. Close.
Ooh, a guy we know.
Tim
Graham.
No. He's not on the list. He's not documented here. He used to wear 46. Now he wears 52.
Oh, well, Khalil Mack.
Yeah, look at that. Number 22 all time. Ahead of Lamar Jackson. Okay. We can move on. We don't have to just do this list.
No, I know.
That's crazy.
It's just, again, it's unbelievable that he is getting this much money again to play, especially after like the way he looked in Atlanta. Like he's pretty clearly washed. They
signed him and then they drafted Penix.
Right, immediately.
Right.
He had a reverse. He's had Kirk Cousins has had that done to him twice. RG3 and Penix. If you think about it that way.
Sort of. I mean, RG3 was there first, so then they took Cousins, and then
they signed Cousins, and then 2 weeks later took Penix.
Yeah, that one he didn't like that. His agent didn't like that, and he's been holding a grudge. And now they said this one's okay. Did you see the quote from him where he's like, "Hey, whoever's better should play. If this other guy's better than me, then he should play, and that's fine." Because he doesn't care, because he's third highest paid player in the history of the league to not play. Right. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like we talk about like Chase Daniel. Chase Daniel's career is unbelievable. Like 14 years in the league and never a starter, and he made a ton. I mean, not this kind of money, but he made sick money for a guy who never played. At least Cousins is a guy that's been talked about a lot. Like you get $1 for every time somebody mentions your name. He's close to that worth. Like he's been in the conversation. Chase Daniel was never in the quarterback conversation in the NFL and just kept racking it up.
Exactly. He's you know, it's backup quarterback is of course widely known as the best job. Like there's two great jobs in sports. It's like backup quarterback and bullpen catcher
Right.
are like the two best jobs where you could just like it's just awesome.
Yeah. Holder's probably good. Long snapper.
Holder is, yeah, those are up there. But at least with long snapper, several times a game there is the fate of something on the line.
Sure.
You do at least have to perform your job. A lot of backup quarterbacks don't.
That's right.
But yeah, Kirk Cousins, it's
he's a perfect nerd mentor for Mendoza, right? Like they're kind of the same dude. Like you don't want to hang out with them at all, so let them just hang out with each other and just have this nerdy quarterback room. And it's in Vegas,
right.
which is weird.
And that's where I was going to go next. This week the Yankees were facing the A's, who are not in Oakland but playing in the AAA ballpark in Sacramento, where before they make a move to their stadium on the Strip in Vegas, and was talking to my son about, they were on the broadcast, we're talking about, it's like a 31,000 seat stadium in Vegas, and he was kind of like, why are they making a stadium so small? And it really got me thinking, and it opened up a conversation that eventually he tuned out of because he's 10.
Yeah.
And I start waxing.
Not that. I don't know what the hell just happened to this whole thing, but we're back aside from my face. So I think we were not streaming for a couple minutes, and now we're back, and we were talking about the Raiders, and it ended with Kirk Cousins and Fernando Mendoza running the Raiders is weird when you think of the legacy of just kind of blood coming from their mouths. That's the vibe of the franchise, and now it's nerdy and stupid. Did I tell you that I saw Ohtani pitch live the other day?
You didn't? No.
I went to Toronto, and it was awesome to just be like. It's one of those things where the game was not incredible. It was one of the few Major League Baseball games that I've seen in recent memory without a home run hit in it, but it was a one-run game that. It was won in the bottom of the eighth was when Toronto took the lead. But Ohtani pitched, and now my kids forever will have seen that happen. He went 6 innings, gave up, 4 hits, struck out 2, 1 run. It was unearned. He was very good. Not spectacular, but very good. He was crap at the plate. He didn't have a good day. But he did extend his streak. He tied Ichiro for... And I didn't know that they held records for Japanese players, but most consecutive games reaching base for a Japanese player in history. He tied him at 43 in that game. He was walked on the first at bat of the game. He was hit by a pitch. He also struck out twice, so he wasn't great at the plate. But we saw him. We witnessed it. We did it, and it was cool.
World Series rematch.
And it was World Series rematch. How about this?
Cool.
3 o'clock start. 3:07 first pitch on a Wednesday in the middle of the week when the kids are off from school. And they had a bunch of stuff scheduled on Monday and Tuesday. So it was dead center of the week off. We go out of the country to a major league game and see Ohtani. It was cool. Scheduling wise, it was just awesome.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
And
a couple of other
he wouldn't have been so the regular rotation. We bought the tickets just because it was a game. It's Dodgers. My wife's really into the Dodgers, and Ohtani or otherwise. She just likes him. She likes all the players. Bought the tickets and then mapped out the pitching rotation. And you just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was going to be Ohtani Monday, Yamamoto Tuesday, and then some dude on Wednesday. But then Dave Roberts announced 4 or 5 days in advance that they're trying to preserve Ohtani to, keep him healthy all year. So he's not in the regular 5-man rotation. He's in the rotation, but they're picking the spots for him. So it got spread out a little bit. So he had 6 or 7 days off instead of 4. And they announced, we already had tickets, and they announced, oh yeah, by the way, Ohtani's next start will be Wednesday afternoon in Toronto. We're like, yeah, I already got that. So it was awesome. All right, that's it. Go ahead. Your turn.
Well, that goes along with the Japanese starting pitching schedule is on a 6 or 7 day schedule.
Oh, really?
So that's always one of the big adjustments that they have to make.
Okay.
coming to the U.S., where instead of pitching every 5th day or every 6th or 7th day, they have to pitch every 5th day. So there's always like that arm adjustment.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that they would, when they can, give him those extra couple of days to rest.
Cool.
All right. Anyway, a couple of other football notes. The Jags just announced that Travis Hunter will be moving full-time to cornerback.
Oh,
So again, they use all of that capital. They go up, they get Travis Hunter, the Heisman Trophy winner, because he played 2 positions, offense and defense.
and now he's
They
just a
say he's
DB.
going to. They say he's going to revolutionize our team. He's going to be a game breaker. He is absolutely going to play on both sides of the ball. He is going to be a difference maker that takes us from nothing to something. He's injured most of last year, and now all of that is already gone.
Wow.
So that's fun.
Cool franchise.
If you're a Jags fan, you're like, well, like, what was all that about? We could have waited and taken a corner. Like, we could have not given up first round pick and just taken a corner where we did instead of.
So
instead
don't
of
draft
what
him in
happened.
fantasy is what you're saying. Don't draft him in fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, they said he will still be involved in some gadget plays and stuff like that. But to me, that means if he's on the field, he's getting the ball, which means you're really like, what are you really going to do with that?
Yep, we've experienced that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have seen that before. Also, one other thing, spring practice going on, most spring practice going on with college football across the country right now. UB spring game coming up here in a couple of weeks. Interesting to note, the Bulls will be playing Central Michigan in late November. I think it's their 11th game of the season. Tommy McIntosh, leading wide receiver for the Chips, blew out his knee this week. He is gone for the season.
Ooh.
So just a little note, keep an eye on here. It's probably not something that we'll talk about for the next 8 months.
Right. But we'll get
before
to
we
it.
get there, but just putting it out there that they're returning their leading returning receiver that they had. Now they want to run the ball all day long if they can, but if you remember the game last year against the Bulls, the reason why the Bulls lost was they decided to come out and do something completely different from what they did the 11 other games, which was throw.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'll take anything we can get at this point.
Yeah.
For that. I have two more things written down here.
Okay.
I think that it is incumbent upon us to talk about Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini.
Okay.
I think we have a responsibility to our listening audience.
Okay. I'm
to talk
comfortable with that.
about this. Is there any doubt in your mind after seeing the
No.
photos that there was something going on there?
No. Is there
Yeah, I
any?
don't-
Do you
all right,
trust Vrabel
okay.
at all around anything?
Yeah, no, I don't. He, his biggest quote here the last couple of years has been how he would cut off his own penis to win a Super Bowl as a coach. Looks like since he hasn't done that, he might as well use it. This is a mind-numbingly dumb decision for Diana Rossini. This has almost no impact on Mike Vrabel at this point. This
From a
is
professional
all-
standpoint, yeah, that's right.
Let's start with the Vrabel side. I think that there's a very real possibility that the only reason he's going to be receiving some backlash here is because this is public. I think that there is a very strong possibility, as somebody who has been with a football player of note from college at Ohio State, not Youngstown State, at Ohio State, that some of this might be baked into the cake of your life. But as long as diseases, random children, and publicity don't follow, you're probably going to be okay because the checks are cashing in the 6 digits and larger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I could very well see, like, I love this guy. I know the type of temptations that he's been dealing with and can deal with on the road. as long as I'm not getting a disease, as long as I don't have to deal with extra kids, and as long as I don't have to deal with the public embarrassment, we
Whatever.
can live with that as long as it doesn't come home. And so that might be a problem for him. But you know, you never know. A college sweetheart of 25 years with kids, not a good decision.
Yeah.
But again, this is professionally not going to affect him. Personally, I can actually see where this is going to affect him a little bit, but it's kind of like, I got a Super Bowl ring, honey. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Take it easy. On the other side for Rossini, my goodness, it's not fair to say that because she's a woman, whatever. I think it is in this case, because if this is a guy who we find out is covering the WNBA and
dude, this is getting weird. And
making out with
Caitlin Clark?
the GMs, like for
Asia
Scoops,
Wilson,
that's a big problem.
Yeah.
That's a big problem. It just so happens that in this industry, it's a man's sport, and you work at the New York Times, and it's not appropriate to be banging sources. And that sure looks like what it is right here. I feel like if the story she's been telling, which is it was just a coincidence, I was on a girls' trip with 3 other girls, we would have seen releases from her of the situation where the other friends are there with Vrabel.
Yeah.
What hasn't happened?
Yeah.
What hasn't happened is
Any of that.
her or those friends have not come forward and said, look, here we all are. We're by the bar. Everybody's hanging out. Those pictures in the pool, we're just at the other side of the pool, and we're all talking and having a drink and whatever. No, that's not happening. So this woman has decided to throw away her career, her livelihood, and her marriage with kids for like the 9th best player of the 2000 Patriots dynasty. It couldn't be dumber. It couldn't be dumber on her part to do this. Okay, let's just say, let's really walk through how this plays out for her. The New York Times, because she's a woman, is not going to be in a position where they can just outright can her unless they have excellent evidence that this type of thing actually is happening. They have to stand by her at this point. Okay. But that doesn't mean that when this contract runs out that the New York Times is going to renew it. So now she's on a ticking clock. The husband is probably not happy. I know I would not be, and has probably been in touch with an attorney. And part of this attorney is going to say to a judge, her job is going to take her away from home a large amount of time. So now she's going to lose custody of the kids, which means she's going to have to pay him child support and not see the kids. All leading to eventually she's going to be divorced. Vrabel's not going to leave his 25-year marriage for Diana Rossini. They never do. And she's eventually going to lose her job with the Times. She's going to lose everything from this.
She's
going to
lose
everything.
She's going to work for Barstool, right?
Is she? Because Barstool is the New England Patriots. Like, are they going to side with Rossini in that? I don't. Maybe.
Oh, I didn't know what I had to process the Patriots thing, but they are. Yeah, there's a Boston. Yeah.
Right. Are they still going to be able to have their relationship that they have with Vrabel if they're going to employ his side piece?
Right. Yeah, probably not there.
Probably not.
What's the other one? The Ringer. They're not going to do it. See, to me, she has. How do we do this? Women in that industry, whatever, in the industry, are battling at all times for credibility.
Correct.
And you have to work really hard to get to a point where you're just treated as a person as opposed to a woman, and that's gone. Like, you can't bounce back from this from a credibility standpoint. I don't even like no judgment. I don't even care like as a person, but as like the journalism,
their life,
the
yeah,
journalism
whatever.
part of
That's
it.
not the case.
No, the journalism part of it is what she has barring a massive comeback. Like there's got to be some, but like you said, where are the photos of the other women there and the girls trip and all? Like, she's done. That's dumb. That was dumb.
Yeah, and I will say it was a fun conversation because you and I live in a much smaller version of this. It's much smaller world version of this. We travel 6-7 times a year with UB football. We're on the road. We're covering this team. We're out there. So I was like, suspend disbelief. If I somehow, the internet is such that even though we're only quote unquote only
right.
covering UB,
right.
that if this became public, it could become viral very quickly.
Right.
Because people like this type of stuff.
Right. Broadcaster busted.
Like, because I showed her the pictures and she's like, I don't know. You can't really. And I said, all right, well, I get home from a trip to Ball State and this is the front page of Reddit.
From Muncie.
Right. And you see this.
Yeah.
I'm like,
how we doing?
You're not like, how you feel about how you feel? And she's like, well, all right, I kind of see, she's like, if I'm with you and I know, and you call and tell me like, oh, Diana's here and we're just hanging out or like we FaceTime or whatever. She's like, I guess I could see around this and whatever. And I'm like, right. But you also have to remember that if I'm in this situation, I'm not going to do that because I'm having sex with this other person. And I don't want you to know. So that's where we're coming from. And also she kind of didn't really believe me on this. You can verify this as another man. He's in Phoenix. Okay, Vrabel?
Yeah.
Ain't no man driving more than 40 minutes for a platonic hookup. Okay? If this guy's going 2 hours, okay, I'm getting strange. Okay, there's no doubt about that. So we can just throw that platonic nonsense out the window. It's going to be fun for everybody that's not her. Honestly. I mean, the internet is all over it. It's like every time I think, you know what, maybe something like this happens and reminds me, oh, that's right. I need it for this. I need it for when she tweets about there's a meeting about replacement officials and there's 2,000 replies, all of them like, who are we replacing? Your husband?
Yeah.
Or is it like
I haven't followed
the draft.
I haven't followed any of that, but of course that's where we are.
It is entertaining, but it is not going to be fun for her. No. It's not going to be fun for her at all. Okay. Do you have anything else that you wanted to throw in the fire on that?
On that, no. I did not intend to talk. I don't mind talking about that, but I don't have anything written down. So no.
Well, I think it's interesting. None of the outlets are actually talking about it.
Well,
ESPN has not commented on it outside of the Times saying we believe Diana Rossini that this is an innocent interaction. Which, like, have you ever interlocked fingers with anybody that you weren't dating before?
I don't know that I've interlocked fingers with my wife, and we've been married for 17 years. So right. I don't. Right. If I said, Scott, I got it. This is this really cool trick I want to show you. Let's interlock our fingers. You'd be like, no. Like, right? I mean, I would want you to say no. So no, the pictures they're very damning. I don't know, but yes, I do.
And I just want to add, if I find out Adam Schefter
that was the thing
giving out handies to Joe Shane, he should be fired. Like, that's not cool. That's not cool.
It's definitely not cool.
I'm equal opportunity on this. This is not a woman sleeping with a guy thing or cheating on a wife thing or anything like
Well,
that.
I did want to say when you said picture a guy covering the WNBA, my head immediately jumped to when Bill Laimbeer was a coach, and like I wanted to, but I skipped it. Not appropriate at all. Don't interlock your fingers. Don't interlock anything with Bill Laimbeer. Schefter is interesting though, because as we were talking, I brought up a story. Schefter was on. He did like a 10-minute hit on a radio station in Philly where they kind of grilled him on the Rossini thing. And the article was just about how, you think about the way that like Big J journalists react. And there was a reference to like the woman that asked Liam Cohen the question after the playoff game, or not even asked him a question, but you should be proud, young man, that whole thing. And how everyone was like, she's a disgrace. And, but nobody has stepped into this one. Nobody's talking about it. And apparently they were like grilling Schefter on it, and he was squirming, and it was apparently a 10-minute, a very uncomfortable 10 minutes of radio where Schefter refused to decry her in any way. Just like, yeah, I know both of those people, and I don't know what happened. I don't know. And I didn't hear it, but reading about it, it sounds, it's interesting that the lack of response from the people who normally really respond to this sort of thing.
Right. That's why I think it was our responsibility to point out that you and I have never once, not a single time, had sex with anybody
ever
for a scoop at the University of Buffalo.
Nope.
Right.
We've been very strong in resisting.
I did have a funny moment of, the pictures of them interlocking the fingers and then hugging are on like a balcony out the back of a bungalow, which, by the way, a bungalow that's only accessible, that is a single person room. It's one bedroom. There's only one bed in there. You can only get there if you're renting the room. So let's throw that out there. But they're out there overlooking the view, and it it reminded me of when we were in the Bahamas at the Bahamas Bowl, and we had we had a patio
we
like
had
that.
The place, yeah,
where
we did.
We could see the ocean.
Right. And who did we invite over?
Not
Paul
once
Peck.
did we go outside and hug.
We invited Paul Peck over, hung out there with Paul Peck and a cameraman.
Right. And not once did we interlock fingers.
No. And we
not
never
once
will.
Did we hug?
Nope. We won't.
Well, I'm not going to say never. I don't want to.
MAC championship. MAC championship could lead to a hug. It would never lead to interlocked fingers. I will never interlock fingers with you, ever.
See, now I'm invested in getting you to do it.
That's a promise. This is like a food challenge to you now.
Yeah. Now I will. Now
I would do it. I would do it like on a dare or whatever. But like, it will never naturally happen.
Naturally, no. Yeah. Right. Of course.
You could trick me or con me or something, but I'm not. That's just not something I'll do with you or Peck or Fuller or Mark Allnut. I won't interlock fingers with Mark Allnut.
For a story. Especially.
Not to get a scoop. So how exactly did you land the Broadview deal? Here, interlock fingers. Let's talk about this.
Let's hold hands and discuss it. All right. So my last thing I thought that you would be very interested in, because this is kind of right up our alley. This reminds me very much of the type of thing that we would be discussing at length in great detail in the hotel room.
Okay.
Like in a Toledo hotel room.
Yep.
When it's 2 p.m. and we still have 4 hours left of the bus.
Before the bus, yeah.
Okay. Are you aware of a major story in the nation of Uganda?
Nope.
Okay. There is currently a chimp civil war.
What?
Happening in Uganda.
Oh my God.
And it's significant because
it's already significant.
This, according to scientists, happens about once every 500 years. And this is now the first time without human interference that humans have ever witnessed this happening amongst a large group of chimps. There's about 200 chimps in Uganda, and they're two different factions, but for generations and generations, there were friends of each other on both sides of this, and they worked together. And while they weren't one, they would like walk patrols together around their territory. They would work together. They were friendly. There was never any conflicts. And then apparently there was a disease that went through like 2018, something like that, where 4 or 5 of the big people that were involved in the friend group that kept them together.
By people, you mean
all
chimpanzees?
Died. Yeah, well, sorry, chimps.
Yep.
Died. And slowly but surely, the ties that kept them together started eroding, where now they hate each other.
So this is like how my family doesn't do the 4th of July picnic since Uncle Ed died?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it's fascinating on several different levels. Apparently, there was a smaller version of this that Jane Goodall saw back in the 70s, but scientists don't really consider it to be in the same vein because at the time, humans were giving bananas and stuff as a part of their interaction with the gorillas. They weren't just strictly observing. So it's like that's not the conflict.
They're
isn't
messing up the science. Yeah.
Right. This is the first time that we've ever been able to fully witness and see. Like there's raids. The Western group goes in and kills babies.
I see that.
We'll
They've
rip them
launched
out of the
coordinated
mother's
lethal
arms.
attacks,
Yes.
killing at least 28 males, including infants.
And it's just fascinating because now scientists, because we are so close genetically to chimps, scientists are able to, like, for the first time see, like, here's a group that is not being affected by politics,
social media.
right, everything else. And it's showing how important actual natural relationship is, and how when one side just actually stops talking to the other, how quickly like it all turns, like how quickly a civil war can happen when one side stops communicating with the other. So it's fascinating. I don't know. There's a lot of jokes on the internet that's like, Trump needs to pick a side now, and we need to send the troops in immediately to wipe out the other side so that we can claim victory. Like there's a lot of jokes about it, but it is a fascinating look
That's
at
crazy.
a real life and being covered. Now the scientists involved are like they call themselves war correspondents because they are
Right.
observing a chimp civil war amongst themselves. And this large in numbers too, there's like 200 chimps involved in this. So it's not like it's 5 guys that hate 5 other guys. This is a full-on clan battle
Yeah.
that they're witnessing when they were once a united group of, yes, 2 separate people, but friends. Like, I think it's fascinating to just find out chimps are doing patrols
Yeah.
of their
All of this is
of their
amazing.
own-
I can't wait
of
to
their own
not
area.
talk about this so I can read about it. Honestly, like I want to understand it. I'm not signing up to go there to be a actual correspondent, but I want to read what the
I'm sitting there
correspondents have to
Rossini.
say. Well, that's what I was thinking. I was picturing interlocked chimp fingers.
Right. So we can get the full story on this.
Yeah, should get the scoop.
What's the deal on A.J. Brown and the chimp civil war is what we need. But yeah, I feel like that's right up our alley.
Oh my
right
God, it's
there.
amazing. Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything to add. I'm fascinated by it, and I can't wait to
Well,
read
I'm
about it.
slinging
And
on
maybe
you. Right.
maybe we'll keep following it and talk about it next week. Speaking of next week, I watched 2 movies last night, and I want you to watch both of them. Both are that Untold series on Netflix that can be
Okay,
really,
yes.
it can be very hit and miss. I feel like I find myself unsatisfied very often after watching, because it's always about something I'm interested in. But then you get to the
Right,
end,
but
you're like,
sometimes they don't go far enough.
they don't get you anywhere. I thought
Yeah.
both of these did. One is Chessmates. It's about, we talked about this at some point. I don't know if it was on the show or just in life.
Yeah.
But this battle between Magnus Carlsen, who's like world #1 chess player, and then this Hans Niemann guy who is like this up and coming punk. And then eventually the story evolved into, is he cheating using anal beads that are sending him signals about what moves to play? And it became like a real story to the point where this guy's life, he doesn't go a day without somebody bringing up anal beads to him.
Right.
It's better than you think it would be. Like it goes where it needs to go.
I'm excited. I know that
Yeah,
it's there.
it's
I was
awesome.
ready to watch it last week, but it wasn't out yet.
Yeah.
So I was pissed.
Right.
So it is
good.
queued up.
And the other one that's been sitting around for a while that I didn't get to until last night, right after, as this one was ending, I was like, all right, I'm back in on Untold. I trust the franchise again. And so, hey, what's that Lamar Odom, the life and death of Lamar Odom, who's not dead, by the way, but you know what I mean. He died and then came back like Damar Hamlin.
I had to Google it when I first saw the name of the
Right.
the thing. Right.
It was
So like, wait, did he die? I didn't know.
he did, and then he undied. It's also excellent. Like I watched both of them. I was falling asleep watching. No fault of chessmates, but I came downstairs to watch. I'm like, I'm gonna watch this thing tonight, and I was just tired, and I fell asleep probably 10, 15 minutes into it. I woke up like 40 minutes into it, got up, got something to drink, sat up, rewound, and watched the whole thing, and then was invigorated enough from watching that to watch another one. And I was thinking, hey, Lamar Odom, I'm going to try that. And that was the thing that was the preview. Like, so that movie ended, it's like, I bet you'd like Lamar Odom. I'm like, you're right. And then I watched that whole thing too, and I want you to watch both of them because there's a lot to talk about in both.
I will definitely watch both. I'm with you on Untold. Swamp Kings, where they talk about the Urban Meyer Florida team, and it's like no one's going to talk about Percy Harvin.
Right.
And everybody that played there was like, Percy Harvin's the scariest person I've ever met. And he's like a 5'8", 180-pound guy. I'd like to know why, please.
Yeah.
And they did not provide any of that.
The Donaghy one was trash.
Yeah.
I mean, they're finding the exact right subject matter and then disappointing me regularly, but neither of these two was disappointing.
But there have been enough hits that keep me interested.
I keep trying. I wrote down one quote from The Life and Death of Lamar Odom, and Odom said, I don't know who your God is. Allah, Jehovah, Christ, Kobe. I was like, okay, I will watch a whole movie of this. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah, and I hopefully there will be a full documentary about the Civil War in Uganda.
Oh yeah,
with the chimps.
I don't want it done by Untold.
No, I want that done by
PBS. Frontline. Right. I want Frontline to do the chimp war.
Oh, who's the guy?
Chris Hansen.
Oh dang. No. Who's the guy that does like Civil War and baseball?
Ken Burns.
Ken Burns. I want Ken
Burns doc. A 12-part Ken Burns doc on the Ugandan chimp Civil War would be fantastic.
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
All right,
amazing.
Good enough, man. We'll talk. All
right.
We'll talk Monday.
Let's do that.
All right. Bye, Scott.
Bye.
All right. That's Scott Wilson, our senior football correspondent. Stuff I wrote down that I didn't talk about. The Sabres won 5-0. It was 1-0 after 2, and I missed the first 2 periods. We had, what did we have? Baseball practice. I had running around to do. So, like, I was listening, kind of, but I was also trying to finish. I had a book on tape from the library. I've been meaning to talk about the library. What? Not right now. I'll write that down for Monday and then never get to it. Library. Chuck Klosterman has a book called Football. It's about football, but it's about everything because it's Chuck Klosterman. And I had it rented is wrong because it's free. There's an app called Libby, and it's like the library app, and it's tied to the Erie County Public Library. And I had the book out, but then I was like halfway through, and I missed the notification that I needed to renew it, and I lost it, and I had to wait like 12 weeks to get it. So then I put a reserve on the audio book, and I got that, and I zipped through it, and I was going to lose that by like tomorrow or so. So I was, rather than listening to the Sabres while I was driving around, I was listening to this book on tape, and I got through it. I finished it. It was good. I recommend it. Football by Chuck Klosterman. Everything by Chuck Klosterman's good, but this was exceptional. So it was 1-0. Sabres game is 1-0 at the end of 2 when I picked up my kid from baseball practice. The game was on there at the baseball place. We're driving home. It's like a 6-minute drive to get home. The Sabres score to make it 2-0. I come home, talk to my wife for 5 minutes. I'm like, I'm going to go downstairs and watch the end of the hockey game. There's only, 10 minutes left or something like that. By the time I get it turned on, it's 8 minutes left. And then they score, and then they score, and then they add an empty net goal. Dahlin from behind the goal line or right at the goal line flips it up high over everybody right into the net. Just super cool. So 5-0 win for the Sabres. That ended. I watched the end of Montreal beating Tampa, which I think was good for us. I think that's what I wanted. And the standings look great. 2 games left for the Sabres, 3 games left for the others. But they've got a very good shot at the division. And some hope at 1 overall in the conference. You're going to need some help from, some teams taking care of business against Carolina in order to overtake them. But I'll take 2. I'll take second in the East. That is fine after 15 years of no playoffs or 14, whatever it is. That's fine. In watching the end of the Montreal game, they had this guy, Cole Caulfield, scored his 50th goal of the year. And then Slavkovsky scored his 30th goal of the year. And they showed a pregame interview with Nick Suzuki, who is their captain. It was like, all right, is it going to be Caulfield getting 50 tonight? Or Slavy, or whatever they called him, getting 30? And he went, both? And he was right. They both scored. So Montreal is the team to fear. They look like the Sabres. They look hot and fired up and confident and ready. And, damn, that's a playoff series. It's been a while since a Sabres-Canadiens playoff series. But I can see that happening in round 2, probably, not round 1. Because I think one of them, I think Tampa probably finishes third. So either Buffalo or Montreal ends up 1 facing a wild card team, and then I picture them both winning. And so that would be Buffalo-Montreal to decide the Atlantic, winner going on to face. It's a new playoff format. I'm working through all of it, but that's how it looks to me as of right now. What else did I have written down? Chessmates, Scott. Another thing I don't feel like doing because I'd have to look that up, and I don't want to. All right, I'm going to end the show. That's it. Thank you. Thank you for watching, listening. Sorry about, I didn't even really mention it, and I don't even know if anybody's here, but this will all be, I'll piece it together for the podcast version. At some point, I opened up one too many browsers, and everything just closed. So Scott was talking about Kirk Cousins and Fernando Mendoza, and then it was like a minute or so of just Scott talking to me to nobody. And I don't know that got recorded. So there's probably going to be a minute or 2 missing when I piece it back together. But sorry if the broadcast, maybe it kept going. I don't think it did. Maybe it's still going on the other one, and I've got 2 streams. I don't know. But we had a technical situation that I just ignored and moved on and kept going with Scott. So I apologize for a break in the action, if that exists, in the recorded version of this when it's posted online later this afternoon. And that's it. All right. I'll be back on Monday. Thanks for checking it out and being a part of episode 290 of Riter Radio. I don't even have the thing. I'm not even going to play the thing, the go to lunch thing, because that's not on the screen either. Oh, there it is. All right. That's back. We'll play that. Bye.
What are you doing for lunch?
I don't know. I have a turkey sandwich.
We're gonna go around the corner. I think you should come with us. This is a great place.
I don't know. Okay.
We brought you a shirt.
Will you get out of here? Will you get out of here? Will you? Now, will you go to lunch? Go to lunch. Will you go to lunch?